That is correct. 3 years and counting.
Do they send you the ballot? Do you get to see the ballot like in advance or something? Do you get any special privileges like that?
No, you don't get any privileges like that.
They don't let you vote? If you're a member, you don't get to vote for the Hall of Fame? I thought if you paid your $25, they gave you a ballot.
Well, it's more than $25, but no, you don't get to vote. So it'd be nice. I'm sure you probably could go to their website. They probably have some sort of voting at some point. You know, they at least let us vote for the broadcasters, but outside of that, no.
Well, I think you should be able to vote. Anyways, so if we got some time, we'll jump into that. Plus, like I said, any phone call or questions from the audience out there, phone calls, any topics that you may want to get into. Also, next week it's going to be our end of the year rewind show, if you want to call it that. We're going to run through some of the interviews we had a chance to do this past year, and it should be a lot of fun. One of the things I wanted to mention, though, tonight, which I think Dallas and Napa ought to be very, very, very proud of. I know I am. It's kind of an amazing number. You guys have been with me from the beginning when we were the TKS, the Tim Kuda Show, for those who don't know. TKS. And we just broke a milestone, believe it or not. Our show, and we started in February of 2007, and as of broadcast today, our show has been listened to over 24,000 times in the last 2 years. We've had 24,062, to be exact, listens. So you guys ought to be commended by that. It's because of what you guys bring to the table when you're here. You guys are best in the business as far as I'm concerned, and the best free labor that I've been able to get ever. So, because you don't cost a penny. So I want to thank you for that. Nonetheless, I thought you'd find that interesting that we've been listened to over 24,000 times. Now, that doesn't break any blog talk records or anything like that, but still, it is an accomplishment from a couple of guys who just decided to start this a year or two ago, and that's a huge accomplishment. So I congratulate you guys on that.
Well,
let's jump right into the show. What was that?
I just said thank you, Tim. Appreciate it.
No problem. Let's jump right into the show here. Yankees, 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 Yankees. Do we hate the New York Yankees? Dallas. Are the Yankees ruining baseball? Well, before I get to you, Dallas, let me just kind of set this up, okay? The Yankees have paid over, or almost like somebody said, $500 million for free agents this year in the major league ranks. And there's been talk, and I'm sure people, you probably listen to us and saying, I've heard this on XM radio, MLB's been talking about it, so why do I want to hear you guys talk about it? Well, I do have an interesting take on it, because I do think it could ruin the game, but it may or may not. You've heard lots of comments on it, but I did want to. I think it's important. I think it's important to the game, so that's why I wanted to get into it a little bit. And I do think that it will have an effect on the minor league game as well, or could have an effect on the minor league game, I should say. So it is definitely relevant to this show, and I wanted to get into it a little bit. But I know Dallas has been following this, and I'm sure Napper has as well. I mean, is this just ridiculous? Do you think that the signing for players over $500,000 or $500 million or whatever it is, almost $1 billion worth of free agents is going to ruin the game of baseball, Dallas?
I don't know. It's possible. I like how the Yankee fans tend to spin this. They say that their payroll right now for this coming season is lower than last year, and that's their way of justifying it. I don't really have too much of a problem with the idea of it's pretty much a free market throughout baseball, and it's unique to the four major sports in America, and that it doesn't have a salary cap. The biggest problem that I have with it, though, is that the New York Yankees, as a baseball club, they asked the city of New York to subsidize their stadium that they're building and give them like a half a billion dollars to subsidize the stadium, and all the taxpayers have to pay that. And then they turn around and spend $500 million on all these players. So if they can afford to pay for these players, why can't they afford to build their own stadium? And why can't they be responsible for all that? So that's what kind of bothers me the most about it. It will be fun being a Yankee hater, and I'm sure for most baseball fans out there, over the next coming years, in the years that they do not win the World Series, and sometimes maybe they won't even make the playoffs. That it'll be fun to see that. But they do have some higher paid players on their payroll that are beyond their prime. That they go and spend all these money on these players this year and last season, but they got Johnny Damon, who's been struggling, Deki Matsui, who's been injured, Posada's past his prime, Mariano Rivera's is past his prime. So it's not a guarantee, even though they spend all this money, that they're going to win anything yet. So we'll see what happens, but I don't know. It just bothers me that they want the city and the taxpayers to pay for their stadium, and then they have this gobs of money to go and spend for the players, but they can't spend it on the stadium.
That's a very, very valid point, and I will let Napper jump on this. Do you think the Yankees are ruining the game of baseball, Napper?
No, I don't think they're ruining baseball. And here's my 3 takes on the whole Yankees situation. A, I don't know why we keep talking about the Yankees. I mean, not only here, but everywhere. They haven't won the World Series since 2000. It's not like they're winning the World Series every year. I would have a problem with it if they were winning the World Series every year, which they are not. Last year, they didn't even make the playoffs. When was the last time they even went to the World Series? I can't remember. Was it 2003 when they played the Marlins? I can't remember the last time they went to the World Series, yet alone won it in 2000. I know they lost to the Diamondbacks in 2001. I guess the last time they went there was 2003 when they lost to the Marlins. So I don't understand what all the fuss is about. Yeah, they went to the playoffs 13 years in a row, and all that stuff. But last year with that ridiculous payroll, they didn't even make the playoffs. So that's my first thing. I don't know what everybody's so upset about. They're not winning the World Series every year. It's been 8 seasons since they have. The second thing is the luxury tax in baseball. The Yankees are owning up to their part of the deal, which they obviously have to. They're paying a luxury tax. They just cut a check to Major League Baseball, or however it's funded or whatever. They just cut a check for $26 million to pay their luxury tax. They did it. They didn't. You barely heard about it in the press because it's not like they make a big deal about it. They know that that's part of the deal. They did it. They cut a check to someone for $26 million. Third, I'm interested in hearing your take on how it could hurt minor league baseball. I think in some way it's helping every other organizations when they go sign all these Type A free agents. People don't realize they're losing their draft picks, and other teams are getting compensated. However you would say that word, they're getting compensated picks for the Yankees signing all of their free agents. So all these other teams, the Brewers from Sabathia or Teixeira from the Angels and Burnett from the Blue Jays, all those teams are getting an extra first-round draft pick as compensation for losing those Type A free agents. So I don't know how that's helping baseball, or I don't know how that's hurting baseball when those 3 teams are going to get additional draft picks to help their organization, down the line. I don't understand how that would be hurting baseball. So there's my 3 takes. Until the Yankees win 10 World Series in a row, I don't see how anybody could say it's hurting baseball. They don't win every year.
Well, I guess here's the thing about it, where hurting baseball, the game is the game. The game is going to be played whether you're playing with the lowest level of talent or the highest level of talent. You still are going to have the game of baseball. So where I think it does hurt, and I guess hurt minor leagues isn't necessarily the right way. It will have an effect on minor leagues, and I'll get into that in a minute. But the thing about it is that who's going to pay for this? Because there are going to be teams out there that are going to want to compete with the Yankees, and they're going to start spending more and more money. And even on these lower tier free agents, if they think they've got, especially if you're in the AL East, you're the Boston Red Sox, then you got to pony up. You got to start paying some of these guys.